father sits beside a hospital bed. He watches his 7-year-old daughter, black spots spreading across her skin. He cannot touch her, cannot hold her, cannot take the pain from her. All he can do is watch. He knows what the spots mean. The doctors don't need to tell him, he already knows. His daughter, his 7-year-old daughter, is dying. From something she breathed, something she couldn't see, something that was invisible, something that had no smell, no color, no warning, something that the government knew was in the air and said nothing about. For days, this is not a story about a nuclear reactor. This is a story about people, about children, about what it feels like to watch the people you love most be destroyed by something you cannot fight, cannot see, cannot stop. This is the human story of Chernobyl, and it is the one they never fully told you. April 25th, 1986, Pripyat, Ukraine. A city of 50,000 people, built specifically to house the workers of the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. It was a good city, modern city, one of the most modern in the Soviet Union, new apartment buildings. A brand new amusement park about to open for the spring. Its Ferris wheel freshly painted, waiting. Children were excited. Spring had arrived. The weather was warm. Life was ordinary. Life was good. That evening, parents put their children to bed. Workers finished their shifts. Couples sat on apartment balconies in the warm spring air. Some of them could see the glow of the power plant on the horizon. They had always been able to see it. It was just part of the view, part of normal life. They didn't know, none of them knew, that in a few hours normal life would end, forever, for all of them. April 26, 1986, 1:23 in the morning. Reactor Number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. Not one explosion, two, in rapid succession. The force blew the roof completely off the reactor building, sent a column of radioactive material and fire hundreds of meters into the night sky. The people of Pripyat woke up, looked out their windows, saw a glow. Some thought it was beautiful. A strange orange-red light against the dark sky. Some went to their balconies to look. Some walked toward it. Curious, parents lifted children up to windows to see the light. None of them knew as they visit. There, watching, they were already being poisoned. The radioactive particles were already in the air, already in their lungs, already in their children's lungs. And the Soviet government, which knew within hours how catastrophic this was, said nothing to anyone. For 36 hours, the people of Pripyat went about their normal lives. Children went to school. People went to work. Some even went fishing, breathing every breath in air that was slowly killing them. Here is the thing about radiation poisoning that makes it so uniquely terrifying. You cannot see it. You cannot smell it. You cannot taste it. You cannot feel it. Not at first. It enters your body completely silently, settles in your bones, your thyroid, your blood, and begins its work, slowly, quietly, invisibly. The food was contaminated. The water was contaminated. The land was contaminated. The air was contaminated. And for the first 36 hours, nobody told the people of Pripyat any of this. Mothers were feeding their children contaminated food. Children were drinking contaminated water. Farmers were working contaminated fields, all completely unaware. When the evacuation finally came, they were told it was temporary. 3 days, just 3 days. Take what you need for 3 days, leave everything else. You'll be back. Nobody ever came back. The toys left on beds, the food left on tables, the photographs left on walls. Still there, today, exactly as they were. Left on that April morning, when people thought they were leaving for 3 days. Of all the victims of Chernobyl, the children carried the heaviest weight, the most unbearable weight, because children are small. Their bodies absorb radiation faster, their cells are growing faster. Their thyroids, the gland most vulnerable to radioactive iodine, are more exposed. The black spots. That is what survivors describe first, dark spots appearing on skin, where the radioactive particles had concentrated. One father, whose story was recorded for history, described sitting beside his 7-year-old daughter, watching those spots spread, unable to touch her, unable to hold her. Because the doctors said her body itself had become radioactive, he could not hold his dying child. Think about that. Think about what that does to a father. She died. His 7-year-old daughter died, and people told him to move on. To forget. He said he couldn't. He said he would never. Because the pain of death, he said, was too difficult for that little child. And he had watched every second of it, helplessly. The UN later confirmed children under 18 developed thyroid cancer at dramatically increased rates after Chernobyl. Scientists confirmed increased birth defects, increased leukemia, increased cardiovascular disease. Generations of illness traced back to one night, in April 1986, when a reactor exploded. And a government chose silence over saving its children. But the physical suffering, as devastating as it was not the only suffering. Because the children of Chernobyl carried something else. Something invisible in a different way, a label. One writer, born after the explosion, described growing up with that label following her everywhere. She moved to England, started school, and children her own age, children who had never been near Chernobyl, refused to eat with her, refused to sit beside her, because she was, they said, a child of Chernobyl. As if she was contaminated, as if she was dangerous, as if she had chosen where she was born. She hadn't. No child chose Chernobyl. No child chose the reactor. No child chose the explosion. They simply existed. In the wrong place, at the wrong time. And spent their entire childhoods being punished for it, physically, mentally, emotionally, all three. At once, while still being children. While still needing someone to tell them it wasn't their fault. While still waiting some off them for someone to say, "We are sorry. We should have protected you, we failed you." Asterisk, not everyone left. The government evacuated most of the population. But some people refused, the older ones. The ones who had lived their entire lives in those villages, who had buried their parents there, who had raised their children there. They said, "Is our home. We will not leave our home. Not for a reactor, not for a government, not for anyone." And so they stayed in the exclusion zone, illegally, growing their own food in contaminated soil, drinking water from contaminated wells, living out their final years in the homes they loved, surrounded by silence and emptiness and memory. Scientists who studied them found something unexpected. That the stress of displacement, of being torn from everything you know, was in many cases more damaging to health than the radiation itself. That belonging somewhere, truly belonging, is not a small thing, it is not a luxury. It is as essential to a human being as clean air and clean water. Those old ones understood that, in a way no government ever could. Here is the one thing in this entire story that nobody expected, the one thing that comes close to hope. When the people left, something else arrived, animals without human activity, without cars, farms, factories, noise, the Chernobyl exclusion zone became something extraordinary. Wolves, bears, deer, wild boar, lynx, bison, all of them flourishing. In a place humans had abandoned. Scientists who studied this found something profound. The impact of radiation on wildlife in the exclusion zone was far less devastating than the impact of humans. Read that again. Cette radiation est terrifique, as it was damaged wildlife less than we do. Just by existing, just by being here. The Chernobyl exclusion zone is now one of the most biodiverse areas in Europe. In a place that was meant to be a wasteland forever, life found a way. IT. Always does. The Chernobyl disaster happened 39 years ago. And the people who survived it are still recovering, still today. The father who watched his daughter die never forgot. The children who were labeled carry that with them. The families who were displaced never fully came home. Because home was bulldozed or abandoned or contaminated. The birth rates in the region fell dramatically after 1986 because people were afraid. Afraid to have children in a contaminated world. Afraid of what those children might inherit. That fear is its own kind of poison. Passed from parent to child without a single radioactive particle, just fear. Just memory. Just the knowledge of what the world is capable of. When the people in power choose the reactor over the child. Every time, without exception, without apology, without consequence. A 7-year-old girl, black spots on her skin, a father who could not hold her, a city of 50,000 people that emptied overnight, children labeled and rejected for where they were born, old people who chose home over safety, animals who came back when. The people left, and somewhere in all of that pain, somewhere in all of that loss, people still believe it is possible to recover, not fully, maybe never fully, but possible, because that is what humans do, even after the worst things, even after the unforgiving. Find always point to keep going for the children, always for the children.